I was slicing lemons for my daughter's lunchbox when my phone buzzed on the counter. A single notification from my brother Liam. Don't come to Dad's retirement, dear. You always make things tense. No explanation, no context, just a cold, blunt dismissal dropped into my morning like a stone. I stared at the message while the lemon juice burned into a small cut on my thumb. The sting made more sense than his words. Before I could say anything, another notification popped up, this time from my cousin. A gif of someone rolling their eyes. My stomach knotted. They were talking about me. Together again. I put the knife down and wiped my hands on the nearest towel. Feeling the kind of numbness that doesn't freeze you, it empties you. What they didn't know was that I had spent the last 5 months organizing that entire dinner. The venue, the custom slideshow, the surprise guests, everything. Dad didn't even know half of it. And all of it, every reservation, every deposit, every vendor, was under my name. Not because they asked, because I thought I was doing what a daughter should do. But as I stared at those messages, something inside me, the part that had been tired for years, finally cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a rope that's been fraying for too long. People always assume family wounds happen suddenly, but mine came slowly, layer by layer, request by request. I was the child who had it together, the one with the organized planner, the steady job, the dependable nature. My mother treated me like the family's emergency generator, useful when needed, forgotten when not. When Liam wanted to start his bakery, I co-signed his equipment loan. When our mother's medical bills piled up, I handled the installments. When my sister moved out, I paid her deposits, because you earn more, sweetie. Every time I helped, I told myself, it's family. This is what family does. But the help was never help. It was duty, expectation, obligation dressed up as affection. And the moment I slowed down or questioned something, I became difficult. Still, I kept going. Until that text. I didn't respond. I didn't explain. I simply opened my laptop and scrolled to the reservation contract for the rooftop restaurant, the one I had booked months ago. My name was there, primary organizer, Maya Delane. The words stared back at me with a weight I hadn't felt before. For once, the power wasn't in their hands. The next morning I called the event manager. Hi, Maya. Ready to finalize the guest count for the big celebration? Her voice was warm, cheerful. I swallowed hard. Actually, I need to cancel the entire booking. A pause. Then, of course, you're the primary signer, whatever you decide goes. And just like that, the event their egos were built on vanished. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel triumph. I felt something better, stillness. By evening, my phone was vibrating nonstop. Liam, Mom, and Vera. Even people who never spoke to me, unless they needed something. Voicemails like, why did the restaurant say the event's canceled? This isn't funny, Maya. You ruined everything. But I said nothing. Silence was my first act of rebellion. Finally, my father called. His voice was gentle, tired, as if he had been holding the family together with both hands for too long. I don't know what they told you, he said, but you've done more for me than anyone. You don't owe them an explanation. I closed my eyes. For the first time, someone in the family saw me not as a resource but as a person. That night, I called my 2 closest friends, people who had never once asked me for anything I couldn't freely give. I offered them the restaurant booking for their anniversary. They cried. Real tears, warm ones, the kind that don't demand, they appreciate. And just like that, something dark inside me loosened. That date didn't have to be a battlefield. It could still mean something beautiful. 2 days later, the family group chat imploded. Liam was panicking. Mom was furious. Everyone was blaming everyone else. A storm they created but expected me to clean up. Dad texted. They finally realize how much they relied on you. I just replied, they never realized how much it cost me. The night of the replacement dinner was nothing like the spectacle they had once dreamed of. No glowing chandeliers, no curated playlists, no lakeside sunset dripping gold over glass walls. Just a rushed, last-minute gathering stuffed inside a noisy diner on the edge of town, the kind of place where the lights flicker, the booths squeak, and every conversation has to fight the buzz of a broken soda machine. I wasn't invited. Of course not. That part didn't surprise me anymore. But what did surprise me was how quickly the photos started leaking into my phone, sent by cousins, co-workers, friends of friends, people who had no idea what had happened, only that something about the whole scene looked off. The images told a story all by themselves. A flimsy plastic tablecloth clinging unevenly to a sticky table. Soggy fries collapsing beside lukewarm burgers. A dollar store congrats. banner drooping like it was too exhausted to pretend. The smiles in the photos were tight, strained, held together by sheer willpower. Even through the screen, I could see it. Exhaustion disguised as celebration. A far cry from the event I had spent months shaping with care and patience. Run numbers, smoothing over details, stitching together moments meant to feel magical. I remembered the swatches of fabric I held up to the light, the venue walkthroughs I attended, alone. The hours spent perfecting something that was never meant to include me. Now here it was. Their backup plan. A dinner that looked more like a school cafeteria reunion than a milestone. But strangely, I didn't feel smug. Not even a little. What washed over me wasn't triumph. It wasn't satisfaction. It was something softer, something unfamiliar after years of tension. Freedom. A quiet, spacious kind of freedom. The kind that comes when you finally set something down you've been carrying far too long. The kind that settles into your chest like fresh air after being underwater. Instead of replaying old hurts, I just sat there in my living room, wrapped in the gentle hum of my own home, feeling the weight lift. For the first time in years, their chaos didn't reach me. Their disappointment didn't belong to me. Their frantic scrambling no longer needed my rescuing. Later that night, after the diner lights had gone dark and everyone had returned home to their separate corners of denial, my phone buzzed with a single notification. It was Dad. He'd taken a photo on his walk back. A quiet shot of the city skyline shimmering against the night. Tall buildings glowing, streets stretching into soft darkness. A peaceful contrast to the frantic energy I imagine must have filled that diner. A moment later, another message appeared beneath the photo. Just 4 simple words, "Peace suits you, kiddo." I stared at the screen, and something inside me settled. Not because he chose my side. Not because he understood every detail. But because, for once, someone saw me. Not for what I could offer, not for what I could fix, but simply for who I had become when I finally stepped away. And in that quiet moment, looking at that skyline, I realized he was right. Peace did suit me, more than I ever knew. 2 weeks passed. My mother finally sent a message. "You've changed. This coldness isn't who you are." I took a deep breath and typed, "I didn't change. I just stopped burning myself to keep everyone else warm." She never replied. Family isn't measured by blood. It's measured by behavior, by the way people show up when it matters, by the subtle ways they hold you together instead of tearing you apart. Anyone can claim a bond through genetics, but it takes integrity, compassion, and consistent respect to earn a place in someone's heart. And sometimes the cruelest truth is this: the people who share your last name can wound you more painfully than any stranger ever could, because sometimes the people who swear they love you the most are the very ones who use your kindness as if it were an endless supply. They take your patience as permission. They take your sacrifices as obligations. They take your silence as agreement. You give, and give, and give, believing your loyalty will eventually be understood, appreciated, or at the very least reciprocated. But instead, it becomes a pattern they depend on, a routine they feel entitled to, a guarantee they never earned. What they don't realize, what they never even consider, is that kindness has a cost. It drains. It exhausts. It breaks you in places no doctor can examine. And one day, you wake up and understand something you should have known long ago. Your heart was never built to be everyone's safety net. So you do the unthinkable. You choose yourself. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't fighting, begging, or explaining. It's stopping. Stopping the giving. Stopping the forgiving. Stopping the cycle that convinced you your worth was tied to how much you could endure. The moment you stop giving them everything they expect is the moment you finally start giving yourself everything you need. People call it cold. They call it selfish. They call it dramatic, because to them, your exhaustion is invisible, but your boundaries are not. Walking away wasn't bitterness. It was rebirth. It was the quiet realization that you deserve softness, not sharpness, honesty, not manipulation, presence, not excuses, love, not leverage. You didn't walk away to punish them. You walked away because staying was punishing you. You walked away because your soul was tired, because your spirit had carried too much, because the version of you they expected was killing the version of you that needed to survive. And peace, beautiful, steady, transformative peace, didn't arrive with apologies. It didn't come wrapped in remorse or delivered with a sudden moment of clarity from those who hurt you. Peace arrived with distance. Distance from the noise, distance from the guilt. Distance from the people who only loved you when you were useful. And for the first time in years, you breathed. Not the shaky breath of someone trying to hold everything together. Not the restrained breath of someone afraid to upset anyone, but a full, deep, cleansing breath. The kind that comes from finally choosing yourself. Maybe that's what healing really is, not fixing the people who broke you, but freeing yourself from the belief that you owe them the pieces.
If this story found a place in your heart, then please show your support to Hana Stories. Your likes, comments, and subscription inspire me to create even more powerful and emotional stories for you. Stay connected, because every story we share brings us a little closer.